Welcome to Context 101. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In the heart of Europe, a nation known for its rich history and unique position at the crossroads of East and West is making headlines once again. Hungary has made a move that's shaking the Western world and sending ripples through international politics. In early 2025, Hungary became the first EU and NATO member to join the BRICS bloc, a group led by China and Russia that's been steadily growing in influence. This isn't just a diplomatic gesture. It's a sign of shifting global alliances and a bold challenge to the established order. Hungary's decision is the result of over a decade of policy under Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, who's pushed for closer ties with the East, often clashing with Brussels. The Eastern opening strategy aimed to balance Hungary's dependence on Brussels and Washington by courting China, Russia, and other emerging powers, seeking new economic opportunities and political leverage. Now, with full BRICS membership, Hungary is openly challenging the EU's unity and foreign policy, testing the limits of European solidarity. The EU has tried to present a united front against China and Russia, but Hungary's move undermines that stance and exposes deep divisions within the bloc. It raises tough questions. Can the EU function when one member is aligned with its main rivals? What does this mean for the future of European cooperation? Globally, Hungary's decision signals a world moving toward multipolarity, where Western dominance is no longer a given, and new power centers are emerging. BRICS is gaining ground as an alternative to Western-led institutions, offering countries a different path to economic growth and political influence. Hungary's leap is a vote of confidence in this new order, signaling its willingness to embrace change and take risks on the global stage. For some, the benefits of aligning with emerging economies now outweigh the risks of alienating the West, as Hungary seeks new markets and investment. As 2026 begins, Hungary's bold leap east is more than a headline. It's a defining moment in a new era of global realignment, with consequences that will echo for years. The world is watching to see if this small nation can navigate between two competing visions and what its choice will mean for the rest of Europe. The stakes for Europe and the global order have never been higher, as Hungary's experiment could set a precedent for others to follow. To understand Hungary's dramatic pivot on the world stage, we need to go back to 2010, when Viktor Orbán returned to power with a sweeping mandate and a vision to reshape Hungary's future. Orbán quickly launched the Eastern Opening, a bold strategy designed to reduce Hungary's reliance on a struggling Western Europe and diversify its global partnerships. The government argued that the future lay with rising powers like China and Russia, whose economies were booming while the West faced crisis. This was more than just a trade policy. It marked a philosophical and strategic shift away from exclusive Western alignment, signaling a new era for Hungary. Hungary had joined NATO in 1999 and the EU in 2004, cementing its place in the Western alliance. But Orbán's new policy openly challenged that foundation, raising eyebrows across Europe. The Eastern Opening meant playing both sides, maintaining crucial Western ties while simultaneously building deep, strategic partnerships with non-Western powers. Hungary became a key supporter of China's Belt and Road Initiative, welcoming massive investment in infrastructure and technology, while other EU countries hesitated or resisted. It positioned itself as China's gateway into the EU, attracting not just capital, but also growing political influence from the East. Critics warned that this approach could erode Hungary's democratic values and commitments to the EU and NATO, sparking heated debates at home and abroad. The government dismissed these concerns, insisting its approach was pragmatic, forward-looking, and firmly in the national interest. But the divide between Hungary and its Western allies only deepened, setting the stage for future fractures and growing isolation within the EU. The Eastern Opening was no longer just a policy. It was fast becoming Hungary's new identity, reshaping how the country saw itself and was seen by the world. The seeds of realignment had been sown, and Hungary's journey toward the East was only just beginning. Hungary's Eastern Opening ran parallel to a dramatic domestic transformation, one that would reshape the country's political landscape for years to come. Viktor Orbán declared his intent to build an illiberal democracy, arguing that the Western liberal model was failing to protect national interests and traditional values. His government overhauled the constitution, tightened control over the judiciary, and dominated the media, consolidating power in ways that alarmed critics both at home and abroad. The European Union, founded on rule of law and democratic values, saw these moves as a direct challenge to its core principles and the unity of the bloc. Brussels responded by freezing billions in EU funds and triggering Article 7 proceedings, a rare and serious step meant to defend democracy within the Union. Instead of backing down, Orbán doubled down, framing EU criticism as an attack on Hungary's sovereignty and stirring nationalist sentiment among his supporters. Chinese investment soon became a lifeline, reducing Hungary's dependence on the EU and giving Orbán new leverage in his standoff with Brussels. Hungary shielded China diplomatically within the EU, blocking criticism of Beijing's human rights record and forging closer ties with the East. This transactional relationship benefited both sides. Hungary gained economic support and investment, while China gained a valuable ally and influence inside the EU. The more the EU pushed back, the more Hungary turned east, deepening its ties with China and even Russia. The drift from Brussels was now a deliberate realignment, signaling a new era in Hungary's foreign policy. Hungary's new path was clear: less Brussels, more Beijing and Moscow, as Orbán charted a course that would redefine Hungary's place in Europe and the world. In 2025, Hungary's eastward tilt became official. It joined the BRICS bloc. BRICS, now expanded to include countries like Egypt and the UAE, represents nearly half the world's population and a growing share of global GDP. For Hungary, joining BRICS was revolutionary, a formal break from Western exclusivity. Preferential access to vast new markets was a powerful incentive for Hungary's export-driven economy. Politically, the move placed Hungary in a bloc with Russia and China at a time of high tension with the West. This deepened concerns in NATO and the EU about Hungary's loyalties. Hungary's application was fast-tracked, celebrated in Budapest as a triumph of sovereignty. Orbán hailed it as proof Hungary could chart its own course between East and West. For Europe, it was a moment of profound unease, a formal breach in the Western Wall. Hungary was no longer just drifting, it had crossed the line. The realignment was now institutionalized. Hungary's BRICS membership is built on real economic projects, many fueled by Chinese capital. The Budapest-Belgrade Railway, a Belt and Road flagship, is being constructed by Chinese firms and financed by Chinese loans. The government touts it as a game-changer, but critics question its transparency and economic benefits. The EU has raised concerns about fair competition and procurement rules. Beyond railways, Chinese investment is pouring into battery plants and tech hubs, making Hungary a key player in Europe's electric vehicle supply chain. Huawei has set up major operations in Hungary, despite Western security concerns. These investments create jobs and growth, but also new dependencies on China. Hungary may have traded reliance on Brussels for dependence on Beijing. The economic rewards are real, but so are the risks. Hungary's BRICS entry has exposed the EU's deep divisions over China. The EU's approach to China is conflicted: partner, competitor, and rival all at once. Hungary has exploited these divisions, often blocking EU criticism of Beijing. Now, as a BRICS member, Hungary's ability to disrupt EU foreign policy is even greater. The EU is pushing to de-risk from China, but economic ties run deep. While some countries have pulled back from Chinese initiatives, many remain engaged. Hungary is an outlier, but not alone in seeking strong ties with Beijing. Brussels faces a dilemma: reform decision-making to prevent a single member from holding the bloc hostage, or risk more defections. The EU must offer better alternatives, or risk seeing Hungary's path become a model for others. The China conundrum is now an existential test for Europe. Hungary's move is part of a global shift from Western dominance to multipolarity. BRICS and similar blocs are rising as alternatives to Western-led institutions. These groups aren't strictly anti-Western, they want a more balanced global system. The expansion of BRICS, now including an EU member, gives it new legitimacy. The China-Russia partnership is a driving force, providing economic and strategic muscle. For Hungary, BRICS membership means a seat at the table with the world's fastest-growing economies, but it also puts Hungary at odds with its traditional allies in NATO and the EU. The balancing act is delicate and risky. Hungary's journey is a test case for whether a small nation can straddle the divide between West and Rest. The outcome will shape Europe's future in a multipolar world. The new era of competition isn't just about economics, it's about information. China and Russia are coordinating sophisticated information campaigns to undermine Western unity and promote a multipolar world. These efforts use state media, social platforms, and AI to shape public opinion. Hungary's government has created a media environment receptive to these narratives, often critical of the EU and US. and favorable to China and Russia. This alignment isn't just political or economic, it's informational. Hungary's pivot to BRICS is also a pivot in the information war. Hungary's BRICS membership is a wake-up call for Europe. The continent's unity can no longer be taken for granted. Hungary's dual membership in the EU and BRICS challenges the very idea of a united Europe. The EU must now decide how to handle a member committed to a rival bloc. Push too hard, and Hungary may drift further east. Do too little, and the bloc risks fracturing. The deeper challenge is strategic. Many countries now question whether the Western-led order serves their interests. Europe must prove its model can deliver prosperity and security, or risk losing more members to the East. As 2026 dawns, alliances are shifting, and old certainties are gone. Hungary's journey is a reminder. Global alignments are never permanent. The choices made now will shape the world for decades. The era of comfortable certainties is over.